All right. Hello and good evening. It's been some time since I've tried to host a live stream, so I'm not sure if we'll have any fun loving guests show up tonight, but here goes nothing. So, um, yeah, I just was listening to some other channels tonight and just kind of over the last few weeks, even. And I've been trying to participate more often, but it just, general chaos ensues still. So, I am going to try to see if I can host kind of a more civilized, more what's the better word? Interested um, collection of smaller individuals that want to talk and discuss, maybe without the typical quote unquote dumpster fires, as others like to advertise. So yeah, welcome any and all people of walks of life, of denominations, of religions, and atheists and Christians and whoever else. I would prefer to hope to attract other science professionals and things and people that want to talk about these issues on a um, just a more just a deeper level, I suppose. But as rare as that seems to be these days, especially for social media, we'll see what we get. And if I end up talking with myself tonight, then so be it. But again, I'm gonna welcome everybody that wants to enjoy just a good, fun, clean, drama-free, I guess is the real important notice, conversation. I'll try to touch on a few things that I've been listening to, like I mentioned, over the last few weeks. Um, and then just kind of want to go from there to answer questions, certainly, or, yeah, just see what kind of evening the Lord has in store to go from there. If we want to change topics or anything like that, it's free form, typical fun live stream. So I've pinned the StreamYard invitation to the top, and I think I'm ready. So one of the big comments I've been hearing the most of recently is that there is a fundamental difference, or that the battle lines, however you want to call it, are drawn between Christian creationism and the Big Bang Theory, which always confuses me because, as I'm demonstrating here, George Lamontre, he is considered the father of Big Bang cosmology. He was a physicist professor and a Catholic priest. So Big Bang cosmology is by definition Christian creationism. So um, the whole idea that God created the heavens and the earth through a quote Big Bang, that is Genesis. And I've listened to other atheists recently, as even the night before last, try to debate that cosmic background or microwave background radiation and relativity physics and things like that confirms the Big Bang theory that everything was created from nothing, and that's an atheistic or atheological position, which cannot be further from the truth, ladies and gentlemen. That is, again, arguing for biblical science. So not only was it a Catholic priest that formally started the theory, the background radiation discovery by Arnold Penzias, he is a Jewish scientist. And he had much to say when he made his discovery. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1978. His discovery, I believe, was 1974. He was trying to essentially, actually, I can see if I can find a good picture of it. He was trying to filter out the background radiation from the Earth. He was doing what's called horn antenna experiments, and he was trying. Let me see antenna. See if I can get a picture here on the screen for you guys. Yep, here we go. He was trying to. Hold on, I apologize. I'm trying to figure out how to do this while I'm talking. Filter out the noise so that he could fine tune this antenna to better communicate with satellites, basically. And here we go. Is it working? I don't know. I got to turn off the. There we go. Zoom in a little bit. That's the horn antenna. I believe he's in New Jersey somewhere, and he was trying to communicate with satellites in orbit, and he suspected that the electromagnetic interference from larger cities like New York was causing the distortion that they were trying to fine tune outside of the antenna. And they just kept isolating more and more frequencies to the point where they just could not eliminate this 4 hertz signal that just seemed like it was coming from literally everywhere. And they did more, experiments and did some math and eventually came to the conclusion that it is literally everywhere. It's not just from New York. It's not just from other cosmic structures in the universe. It is literally everywhere. I'm tired. It's almost 2 o'clock. It is 2 o'clock in the morning my time. Cosmic microwave background radiation. And so that was discovered by a Jewish scientist again, and at his Nobel Prize acceptance speech said it was what confirmed the Bible. So when you hear atheological apologetics try to talk about the CMBR, that is not necessarily Christian. Arno was he was Jewish, but certainly Judeo-Christian scientific cosmology. So what else? There's many other ontological arguments, certainly from the evolutionist perspective. Quantum physicists talk about it. Let's see, I got some other prepared overlays, but I'm just kind of talking from the hip, hoping to attract others interested in wanting to have a good conversation together tonight. I've also heard that Albert Einstein's arguments for relativity, take away from the creationist Big Bang, which again could not be further from the truth. A collection of his quotes. As a matter of fact, let's see if I can share one of my favorite ones. This is a article, or from an article, an article that he was interviewed at the Saturday Evening Post, like in 1923, I believe, where this is just a snippet of it, where he literally claimed that not only did God create the universe, but that there is a calculable beginning and end point. Einstein's physics confirms Genesis and Revelation. And some of you may have heard me go into it before, how Einstein's theory of supersingularity gravity wavefront collisions would, if two of them should collide near the Earth in opposite directions, it would look exactly what the Apostle John said he saw in Revelation 6:14. And so we can go into those kind of discussions if anybody's interested. But Einstein literally said the universe is created, it's predetermined. And I love how he describes God as an invisible player, as a musician, keeping the universe in fine tune, in a mysterious tune. Einstein further talked about how he really enjoyed playing his violin as a form of worship with the Lord. He said that as he played his instrument, he said it felt like he was playing that mysterious tune in the background with God, keeping the universe in tune. That was his form of praise and worship. There's also other references where Einstein equated how the most brilliant of us could possibly understand or view God in the creation is by literally as a little child walking through a library. And you think he was a pantheist. Einstein denied that he was a pantheist. The problem involved is too vast for our limited minds. We are in the position of a little child, entering a huge library filled with books in many languages. The child knows someone must have written those books. It does not know how. It does not understand the languages in which they are written. The child dimly suspects a mysterious order in the arrangement of the books, but it doesn't know what it is. That, it seems to me, is the attitude of even the most intelligent human being towards God. We see the universe marvelously arranged and obeying certain laws, but only dimly understand those laws. That was 1930. Imagine what Einstein would say today, with all of our advances and all our technology today. It's just mind blowing. It's difficult for people such as myself and certainly others that follow this stuff, that do this for a living, to understand how the ancient mythologies that God doesn't exist or may not exist, how those mythologies remain today. It's just hard to believe. Literally, it takes too much faith, as people have heard. But anyway, so those are some of the main rebuttals I guess I wanted to share out there. There's of course just a huge wealth of other topics and examples, I suppose. We can even go to the quantum physics level. Max Planck, the founder of quantum physics, he won a Nobel Prize for the discovery of quanta, as it's called. And you may or may not have seen this meme of his famous quote before, but matter literally does not exist. Matter and energy are literally, not just figuratively, but scientifically, literally figments of God's imagination, as I like to summarize it. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter, and it's not just an opinion of a scientist. There is science behind this claim. The idea that what's called wave function collapse events are not just manipulating quantum field variations, both from what's called a local and a global consciousness perspective, but that they're being regulated, they're being controlled. The way everything we think, not just the observations, not just the materialistic, five senses or whatever people want to pretend that's all there is, but even our ability to think about and describe and observe and measure those five senses, that itself is being regulated. The abilities, the tools, our consciousness is part of the quantum fluctuations that we can literally calculate. There are equations for this nonsense. It's incredibly difficult. It's based on a lot of probabilistic type curves and all kinds of matrices math, but it's doable. And we can, if anybody wants to set up a conversation on how we do that in the applicable cool, again, apologize for my sleepiness, real world environment, from making microchips to micro machines, there's all kinds of real world applications where we can predict mathematically how these wave functions collapse and try to create, essentially, in the similar way God does, the different materialistic forms for things at a quantum level. And of course, once we understand that the quantum spins and all of the details of how those forces, those minute forces, as Planck describes them, how those work and interact, we can then build up atomic structures, and then atomic structures built into molecular structures, which of course build up into our microchips and things that the things that we develop. So that is how we do that. So yeah, I'm not getting any responses. I guess I didn't really have much of a thought to set anything formal up. I was going to try to just see who showed up, and certainly in the comments below, or you can send an about message to me as well. I'm also on Discord. I'll probably try to advertise my Discord username here in YouTube soon. I'm also thinking about starting my own Discord server. I've been trying to find a number of scientifically or just intellectual based Discord servers for a while, which those of you who are familiar with that, it's probably impossible to find. I found a very few good debate servers. I'm in the unofficial, quote unquote, SpaceX server, but those are very quiet. So I imagine even if I do start one up, I'll have a few really good friends that we've been following each other for a while, but don't talk often enough. But yeah, here's to trying to start a community of professionals, preferably, and people that just want to really know and want to learn, and don't want to fight. They want to just get along. So yeah, I guess that was probably the big things that were on my mind. Trying to scan through some other things, other references to see if there's anything interesting, but let's see. I'll probably go ahead and conclude here. And again, I'm keep hoping and praying even for the Lord to send us good conversations, good discussions that people can talk about without having to fight, without having to disobey God's commandments to be kind and patient, loving. Ooh, that's a good quote. Johannes Kepler. Here's a potentially interesting conversation about the CMBR, the heat map, as it's called. A lot of people talk about it, but they don't seem to be so interested in going into details. Let's see if I can get the screen share. So NASA's space telescope, the WMAP, and the European Space Agency's space telescope called the Planck satellite have successfully conducted what's called full sky maps of the CMBR. This is the picture from the Planck satellite. So NASA has completed a 10-year-long project for what's called the James Webb. It is currently, let me see if I can get a picture of it, at the European Launch Agency in preparation for launch. Let's see if I can find some good pictures. This is the official website. And it is designed to show even greater resolutions and scans of the cosmic microwave background radiation. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like folded here. Let's see if I can click on it to enlarge it. Nope. And then once it's deployed, it will unfold. It has a collection of solar sails to put the sun against its back. You can't see it here. Silver sails, and that's going to keep it in position as well as give it some energy, protect it from the sun. It just went through the Suez Canal. And it is getting ready for launch very, very soon. I'd have to look up the launch date. Oh, here we go. Here's pictures of it deployed. Northrop Grumman. And so it's going to do another full-scale map. Well, that's cute. That's with the nature around it. It's not going to be like that in space. But so they're going to try to find even more details and try to hope to find more answers, essentially, of the questions that people talk about. So yeah, there's a lot of controversy with it. The idea of the 13.8 billion has actually been reduced semi-officially to 13.6 billion years of age is based on the idea that light travels in a straight line, and which it does not. We have a phenomenon known as refraction, where water changes speed. It will slow down and speed back up. If, on a better presentation someday, I'll show those experiments. I'll show some examples. But you can take a glass of water, for example, put something in it, and you'll see it look like it's broken. It'll change shapes as that is the light refracting inside your glass of water. The object itself is not actually changing. The light is. And then we have, there's all kinds of time dilation effects. There are what's called gravitational lensing effects, where if there's a significant enough gravitational gravity well out there, which there are, which a lot of them we can't see because, again, the light is bent around those objects. And so the assumptions around the idea that even if light were being, bent around, in fact, I'll show a example of what's called an Einstein's cross. There's been about 4 of them discovered, I believe. There's a good example of one of them, where essentially there is a star behind a star. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find a better picture there. And the gravitational well around the front star bends the light of the star behind it, even though it looks like it's 4 stars around it, that is 1 star behind another. So the 4 stars around it, forming the cross, is 1 star. And that's showing how gravity can bend light. And so 1 star, the gravity well, is not terribly, well, it is significant enough to at least bend it, but we're still able to see it. And there are far many other things in the sky, in space, that are far more larger gravity well than just a single star. So it is pure raw assumption that the light we think we see from any given point in the universe travels in a straight line. It just does not. It's, as far as we know, it could be as crazy as a pinball table. So all those assumptions of the age of the universe are pure speculation at best. And then the idea that whether or not stars were created after the sun or the earth or during or whatever, all of that those are good questions. Those are things that we're trying to hope to get out there. Guys like me that work at companies like SpaceX and NASA and Blue Origin. The whole idea is to try to get out there as fast as we can, safely as we can, make Earth or make humanity a multi-planetary species, a space-faring civilization, all that good stuff. So we can go out there and watch. We can look. We can go to a stellar nebula, stellar nursery, and see if what Hoyle. So Hoyle was an atheist, Fred Hoyle, when he first started to help postulate the stellar nuclear synthesis theories that a lot of atheists today think, supports their atheological religious views. It does not. Hoyle's discoveries caused him to become a Christian. The idea is that stars form in a nebula, in a gaseous, water-like, fluidic type area of gases. That's what a nebula looks like. That's Genesis. God created the heavens and the earth and floated along the waters. Which and I would pull up a screen image, but you guys can imagine a nebula. If you're floating inside a nebula, it look like a bunch of water. A bunch of fluids. Including they wouldn't really be possibly some sort of frozen or liquid water, just depending on the conditions, etc. But regardless, that's what Genesis describes. And so, those that discovered that and did the math and studied it, the idea that stars and planets form a nebula, that is Genesis, according to those who postulated it. And it's just baffling why that's not described today, why that's not common knowledge. So, yeah, the idea that whether or not the Earth was the first nebula-formed planet or not, there's all kinds of good theories. I can go into them. I'd love to find, again, other professionals that know the data, that have been paid, essentially, to work on some of these ideas. I'd love to go into some of that together. But otherwise, yeah, just want to touch on those. Guess I'll go ahead and call it a night. But please, again, I'll put, like I said, I'll put my Discord contact in my About section for those that want to reach out to me there, and hope to talk to more of you later. And yeah, let's just hopefully find some peaceful avenues to share on all of these ideas, not across all different walks of life and faiths. And there's no reason to argue if we're generally like Einstein put it. Religion and science go together. Without religion, science is useless. Without science, religion is blind. Both are interdependent for the search for truth. So let's search for truth together. You guys have a good evening. And again, let me know if anybody wants to have a specific conversation. I'd love to. Have a good night.